He was naked, broken, screaming in the tombs. But when Jesus stepped ashore, every demon inside him trembled. This isn't just a story, it's a war between darkness and light, and it's not over. Welcome to Divine War Stories, where we uncover the unseen battles raging behind the veil of the natural world. Here, the Bible isn't quiet, it roars. Subscribe and journey with us through the front lines of spiritual warfare. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He didn't speak with family because he had none anymore. They said he used to be normal once, but no one remembered what that looked like. His home had become a graveyard, cold stones, broken chains, and the echo of his own screams. Every scar on his body told a story of a battle lost. Every moment of silence was a war he was still fighting inside. He didn't choose this. No one asks to be possessed. But something had broken open in his soul, and now, legions filled the space. The people in town feared him. They tied him with ropes, then with chains, but even iron snapped like string in his hands. He wasn't alone. His body was a battlefield for thousands of voices that screamed, mocked, cursed, and wept through him. His name had been forgotten, replaced by the identity of the darkness that lived within, Legion, for we are many. They thought the sea would protect them, that this wild, demon-torn man would never cross the waters. So when a group of men rowed to their shore, they had no idea their safety was about to be threatened, not by the possessed man, but by the one walking toward him. Jesus stepped out of the boat like he already knew where to go. No hesitation. No fear. His disciples had just witnessed a storm obey his voice. Now they'd witness demons beg for mercy. The moment Jesus touched land, the man came sprinting from the tombs, naked, bruised, bleeding, howling, and fell to his knees. The demons inside him recognized Jesus before the crowd did. "What do you want with us, Son of the Most High God?" they screamed through his voice. Not a whisper. A scream. They were terrified. No exorcist, no scroll, no temple sacrifice had ever made them tremble like this. But Jesus wasn't like the priests. He didn't need incense or ritual. His authority didn't come from robes, it came from being the Word made flesh. And when he stood before the man, he didn't ask how long the possession had lasted. He didn't ask about the man's sins. He looked straight into the chaos and gave a command, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." The ground felt like it shook. The man screamed again, but now it was different, desperate, frantic, like the demons were clinging to every part of him they could. This wasn't just deliverance, it was eviction. Jesus asked, "What is your name?" And the voice replied, "Legion, for we are many." A Roman legion meant thousands. That's how many had claimed the man's soul. They didn't want to leave. They knew what happened when light touched darkness, it shattered. So they tried to negotiate. "Send us into the pigs," they begged, "let us enter them." And Jesus allowed it. Instantly, the spirits left the man and entered a herd of pigs nearby, about 2,000 animals, and chaos erupted. The pigs screamed, stampeded, and threw themselves into the lake, drowning in moments. The waters that had just been calmed by Jesus now swallowed a mass grave of evil. People from the town came running, drawn by the screams, the drowned pigs, the rumors of something supernatural. And what they saw terrified them even more than the pigs. The once possessed man was sitting, clothed, and in his right mind. Calm. Silent. Free. The same eyes that once burned with madness now held tears of peace. But instead of celebrating, the people begged Jesus to leave. They couldn't understand this kind of power. It scared them. They were more comfortable with the chaos they knew than the healing they didn't understand. The man, however, clung to Jesus, pleading to follow him. But Jesus said no. Jesus had a mission for him, one that didn't involve leaving, but staying. "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you," Jesus said, "and how he has had mercy on you." And so the man became a messenger in the region of the Decapolis, telling his story over and over. His testimony spread like wildfire, of demons cast out, of pigs drowned, of a man reborn. He was no longer Legion. He had a name again. An identity. A future. What the enemy tried to destroy, Jesus reclaimed. What darkness tried to silence, Jesus made into a voice. And that voice echoed across 10 cities. But behind this miracle, there's something deeper. This wasn't just about a man's freedom, it was about territory. The Decapolis was Gentile land, a region not expecting a Jewish Messiah. Yet Jesus crossed the stormy sea to set foot there, like a warrior invading enemy ground. He wasn't just saving one man. He was taking ground from the kingdom of darkness. The pigs, unclean animals by Jewish standards, were a visible sign of the unclean spirit's defeat. And when they plunged into the sea, it wasn't random, it was symbolic. Just like Pharaoh's army drowned in the waters of deliverance, these demons met their end the same way. The man didn't have theological training. He wasn't raised in a synagogue. But he became one of the first missionaries to the Gentiles. Isn't it like God to choose the outcast, the broken, the disqualified to spread the news of redemption? While others saw a lunatic, Jesus saw a leader. While others ran in fear, Jesus ran toward him. Because in every soul torn by darkness, there's still something worth rescuing. And the moment Jesus speaks, even legions have to let go. This story isn't just about one man, it's a mirror for every heart that's ever felt chained, outcast, or lost in the tombs. He had been the warning of the village, the nightmare parents used to frighten children, the shadow that made grown men avoid the tombs at night, but now he was something else entirely. People saw him walking through town, clothed and calm, and they whispered, "That's him, that's the one from the graves." But no one could deny the truth. Something had changed. Something divine had crossed their borders and left a mark not only on one man, but on the entire land. His voice no longer carried screams, it carried purpose. The same mouth that once howled in agony now told a story of freedom, a story that made demons tremble and listeners weep. And though Jesus had left the region, his echo remained in the voice of the man who had become his witness. This story reminds us that spiritual war doesn't always look like battles in the heavens. It sometimes looks like a broken man alone in the dark. The battlefield can be internal, unseen, and misunderstood. And too often, like the townspeople, we fear what we don't understand. They saw power they couldn't control and asked it to leave. But the man who had lived in torment begged to stay with Jesus. Because those who've tasted true freedom will always long to stay near the source. Yet Jesus sent him out, not away from purpose, but into it. Because the healed must become the healers. The rescued must become the storytellers. And sometimes, your greatest pain becomes your greatest platform. There's something powerful in how Jesus traveled across a violent storm, through unwelcoming land, and into a tomb-filled wilderness just for one man. No crowds. No miracles for show. Just one man that everyone else had written off. And if he did it for him, he'll do it for you. The voices in your mind that whisper shame, the chains you thought you'd never break, the habits that haunt you in silence, none of them are stronger than the one who speaks to storms and commands legions. This is not a passive savior. This is a warrior who walks into darkness and demands it to flee. He's not afraid of what's inside you. He came to set it free. The pigs, the drowning, the fear of the people, it all points to how uncomfortable real transformation can be. When Jesus brings change, it often costs something. It may disrupt what you thought was normal. It may challenge the systems you've built. It may reveal the spiritual forces you've ignored. But the end result is always freedom. Not a temporary escape, but a deep, soul-level cleansing that changes your identity. The man wasn't just healed, he was restored. He didn't return to his old life. He started a new one. And in every village of the Decapolis, his story made room for Jesus to return one day, not as a stranger, but as a savior. Even the name Legion speaks volumes. It's a military term. It means structure, strategy, hierarchy. Demons aren't chaotic in the way we think, they're organized. And that's what makes them dangerous. But it also means they're subject to command. And when Jesus speaks, no rank, no system, no spiritual authority can resist. This wasn't just emotional deliverance, it was a declaration of dominion. Jesus wasn't negotiating with the enemy. He was reclaiming what was his. The human soul is not neutral ground. It will always be claimed, either by darkness or by light. And in this man's case, the war ended the moment the Messiah stepped ashore. What does this mean for us today? It means no one is too far gone. It means the graves we live in, Whether depression, addiction, anxiety, shame, are not where our stories have to end. It means we serve a God who steps into our unclean places, into our madness, and calls us by name. And once He calls you, you are no longer your past. You are no longer what possessed you. You are His. And He will use your scars as signs of survival, your story as a weapon, and your voice as a testimony. You don't have to be a preacher to preach. Sometimes, the most powerful gospel comes from the ones who are the most broken. If you've ever felt too dirty, too far, too messed up to be loved by God, this story was written for you. The man didn't clean himself up before running to Jesus. He didn't fix his mind before falling at His feet. He came as he was, naked, bloody, desperate. And that's exactly what Jesus wanted. He didn't reject him. He didn't flinch. He didn't wait. He delivered. Right there, right then. That's the heart of Jesus. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He just wants you to come. And when you do, the legions that torment you will not survive His presence. They never do. So the next time the darkness tells you that you're beyond saving, remember the man from the tombs. Remember that even a legion of demons couldn't keep him from being restored. Remember that even when everyone else gave up on him, Jesus crossed a storm just to get to him. And then remember that Jesus hasn't changed. He's still doing it. Still crossing storms. Still breaking chains. Still setting captives free. And He'll do it for you. Just call His name. Fall at His feet. And watch the war inside you begin to end. Thank you for watching Divine War Stories. If this story spoke to your heart, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might be in a tomb of their own right now. Every soul deserves to know that freedom is possible and that no darkness is too great for the light of Christ. Until next time, stay in the fight and remember, the war may be fierce, but the victory is already written.